37 years into the journey, the automated alarm system woke Dr. Alex Reeves from his cryogenic sleep with urgent priority. As his consciousness slowly returned, he could hear Arya's voice speaking in measured tones that somehow conveyed both calm and concern. "Dr. Reeves, your presence is required on the bridge immediately. We have detected an anomalous signal from the Proxima Centauri system." Alex's mind snapped to full alertness. In his previous awakenings, the journey had been routine. Systems maintenance, course corrections, minor repairs. This was different. He made his way to the bridge, where Captain Reyes was already studying the long-range sensor data. Her face was grave as she turned to greet him. "What kind of signal?" Alex asked without preamble. "Artificial. Definitely artificial." Captain Reyes pulled up the sensor display. "It's coming from the direction of Proxima B, but it's not originating from the planet itself." Alex studied the waveform patterns on the screen. The signal was complex, with modulated frequencies that suggested intelligence behind its construction. But it was unlike anything in Earth's databases. "How long have we been receiving it?" Arya detected it 6 hours ago. "It's been repeating in regular intervals, every 4 hours and 17 minutes. "What does it say?" "That's the problem. It's not using any recognizable encoding system. It's clearly artificial, but we can't decode it." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying there's an intelligent civilization in the Proxima Centauri system?" "It's possible. Or it could be an automated beacon, a probe from another species. Or..." Captain Reyes paused. "Or it could be something else entirely." Alex called up the AI interface. "Arya, analysis of signal?" "The signal exhibits characteristics consistent with artificial intelligence," Arya replied. "The mathematical structure suggests a form of communication, but the underlying language is unknown. However, there are certain patterns that suggest..." "Suggest what?" "The signal appears to be responding to our presence. When we changed course slightly to avoid a debris field 3 days ago, the signal's frequency shifted. It's as if something is tracking our approach." The implications were staggering. If there was an intelligent civilization in the Proxima Centauri system, humanity's arrival might not be welcome. The colonists had prepared for many contingencies, but first contact with alien intelligence had always been considered a remote possibility. "We need to wake the others," Alex said. "This decision is too important for just the two of us." "Agreed. But who?" "We can't wake the entire colony. Dr. Okafor for xenobiology, Dr. Yamamoto for communications, and Dr. Harrison for cultural analysis. We need a diverse perspective." Over the next few hours, the team was revived and brought up to speed on the situation. Dr. Okafor's eyes lit up with excitement as she studied the signal data. "This is extraordinary," she said. "We've dreamed of finding intelligent life, and now we might be approaching a system that already has it. The question is," Dr. Yamamoto said, "are they friendly?" Dr. Harrison, the cultural analyst, looked troubled. "We have to consider the possibility that our arrival is seen as an invasion. 10,000 humans arriving at their doorstep, carrying the biological material to terraform their world. But we don't know if they're even from Proxima B," Alex pointed out. "The signal could be from a passing ship or an automated probe." "Arya," Dr. Okafor said, "can you determine the signal's origin more precisely?" "The signal is not originating from Proxima B's surface. It appears to be coming from a position approximately 2.3 astronomical units from the planet, in a stable orbit around Proxima Centauri." "A space station?" Captain Reyes asked. "Possibly. Or a large artificial structure. The signal's power requirements suggest a substantial energy source." The team spent days analyzing the signal, trying to decipher its meaning. The mathematics were elegant, suggesting a highly advanced civilization, but the content remained opaque. "We need to make a decision," Captain Reyes said during one of their meetings. "Do we continue on course, or do we alter our trajectory? If we change course now, we could reach one of the other planets in the system," Dr. Yamamoto suggested. "Alpha Centauri has several worlds that might be suitable for colonization, but none of them are in a habitable zone," Dr. Okafor countered. we'd be condemning the colonists to a life of underground habitats and artificial environments. Better than arriving at a world that's already occupied by a hostile civilization, Dr. Harrison said quietly. Alex stared at the signal data, his mind racing through possibilities. What if we try to communicate? How? We don't even understand their language. Mathematics, the universal language. Alex pulled up the communication systems. We could send a signal of our own. Prime numbers, geometric progressions, basic mathematical concepts. And if they respond with weapons fire, then we'll know where we stand. But if they're truly intelligent, they might be as curious about us as we are about them. The debate continued for hours, but eventually, the team reached a consensus. They would attempt communication while maintaining their current course. If the response was hostile, they would have time to alter their trajectory. Alex worked with Arya to construct a mathematical message, starting with prime numbers and progressing to more complex concepts. The message was designed to demonstrate human intelligence while remaining non-threatening. "Transmission ready," Alex announced, sending on wideband frequencies. The signal was transmitted toward the source of the alien communication. Then they waited. For hours and 17 minutes later, they received a response. "It's acknowledging our message," Dr. Yamamoto said excitedly. "Look at this. They're sending back our prime number sequence, but with additional numbers added. They're continuing the mathematical conversation," Alex realized. "They're showing us they understand." Over the following days, the communication became more sophisticated. The aliens, if that's what they were, demonstrated understanding of advanced mathematics, physics, and even basic chemistry. They seemed genuinely curious about the human ships. "They're asking about our destination," Dr. Okafor said, studying the latest transmission. "This sequence here, it's referencing Proxima B's orbital characteristics." "How do we respond?" "Honestly, we tell them we're refugees from a dying world, seeking a new home." The response to their message was unexpected. Instead of hostility or rejection, the aliens sent a complex transmission that Arya spent hours analyzing. "They're providing us with information," Arya announced. "Detailed scans of Proxima B's surface, atmospheric composition, and..." The AI paused. "They're warning us about something." "What kind of warning?" "The planet's surface is unstable. There are massive geological upheavals occurring, volcanic activity, tectonic shifts, atmospheric disturbances. The planet is experiencing a period of violent change." Alex felt his heart sink. "Is it still habitable?" "Marginally. But the conditions are far more challenging than our original assessments suggested. They're offering us an alternative," Dr. Okafor said, studying the latest transmission. "There's another world in the system, a moon orbiting one of the gas giants around Alpha Centauri A. It's smaller than Proxima B, but more stable. And they're willing to let us settle there?" "It appears so. They're even providing technical assistance, information about the moon's environment, resource locations, and optimal landing sites." Captain Reyes looked stunned. "They're helping us?" "It seems that way. But why?" The answer came in the next transmission. The aliens, who referred to themselves through a complex mathematical designation that roughly translated to gardeners, had been watching the decline of Earth for centuries. They had seen the volcanic eruption, the electromagnetic pulse, the gradual collapse of human civilization. They're not native to the system, Dr. Harrison realized. They're refugees, too. They arrived here thousands of years ago, fleeing their own dying world. And now they're offering to help us do the same. The implications were profound. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and they were not the first species to face extinction. The gardeners had survived their own catastrophe, and were now offering to help humanity do the same. "We need to wake the colony leadership," Captain Reyes said. "This changes everything." As the team prepared to revive the necessary personnel, Alex found himself on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Alpha Centauri was clearly visible now, no longer just a bright point of light, but a complex star system with 3 distinct suns. "Arya," he said quietly, "what do you think about all of this?" "I think that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined," the AI replied. And I think that humanity is about to begin a new chapter in its story. Are you afraid? I do not experience fear as you do, but I am concerned about the challenges ahead. The gardeners are offering us assistance, but we will still need to build our own civilization on an alien world. Alex nodded. The journey was far from over, but for the first time since leaving Earth, he felt a sense of hope. They were no longer alone in the universe. And perhaps, with the help of the gardeners, humanity might not just survive, it might thrive. 87 years after departure, the first thing Amara noticed as she emerged from cryogenic suspension was the absence of the familiar vibration that had accompanied their journey. The ship's fusion engines had finally fallen silent, and the Endeavour drifted in orbit around their new home. "Welcome to Proxima Centauri System, Dr. Okafor." Arya's voice carried a note of something that might have been satisfaction. "All colonists are being revived according to schedule. The surface preparations are proceeding as planned." Amara made her way to the observation deck, her legs unsteady after the long sleep. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see their destination, a world that the gardeners had designated as Haven, a moon orbiting the gas giant Prometheus around Alpha Centauri A. Haven was beautiful in its own alien way. The surface was covered in vast continents of deep blue vegetation, with silver rivers winding through valleys carved by geological forces unknown on Earth. The atmosphere was thick with clouds that shifted in patterns unlike anything in Earth's skies. "Status report," she called out to the bridge crew. "All systems nominal," Captain Reyes replied. She looked older, her face bearing the lines of someone who had carried the weight of humanity's future for nearly 9 decades. "The gardeners have provided us with detailed surface maps and atmospheric analysis. We're cleared to begin the descent." "What about the terraforming equipment?" "That's the interesting part. It turns out we won't need most of it. Haven's atmosphere is already suitable for human life, with only minor adjustments needed. The gardeners have been preparing the surface for our arrival." Amara felt a surge of gratitude toward their alien benefactors. The gardeners had not only guided them to safety, but had spent decades preparing their new world for human habitation. "How many of us made it?" 9,734 colonists survived the journey. We lost some to equipment failures and natural causes, but the vast majority of humanity's refugees are alive and healthy. Amara joined the other awakened colonists in the main assembly hall. The crowd was a mixture of excitement and apprehension, their faces showing the subtle changes that occurred during long-term cryogenic suspension. But they were alive, and they were about to set foot on a new world. Dr. Alex Reeves stood at the podium, his hair now completely gray, but his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at our new home. Haven awaits us, and the gardeners have prepared a place for us to begin again." The colonists cheered, their voices echoing through the vast hall. After nearly a century of sleep, they were finally ready to begin their new lives. "The first landing party will depart in 6 hours, Dr. Reeves continued. "Dr. Okafor will lead the biological survey team, while Captain Reyes coordinates the establishment of our initial settlement." Amara felt a familiar mixture of excitement and terror that came with exploring the unknown. They had studied Haven from orbit, but there was no substitute for actually walking on its surface. The landing shuttle was a marvel of engineering, designed to carry 50 colonists and their equipment to the surface. As they descended through Haven's atmosphere, Amara could see the alien landscape rushing up to meet them. The vegetation was indeed blue, but it was unlike anything on Earth. The plants seemed to pulse with their own internal light, creating a landscape that shifted and changed as they watched. The air was thick with particles that caught the light of Alpha Centauri A, creating an effect like being inside a living aurora. "Atmospheric composition is within acceptable parameters," reported Dr. Yamamoto. "Oxygen levels at 72% of Earth normal, nitrogen at appropriate levels, with trace amounts of noble gases. Radiation levels? Elevated, but within human tolerance. The gardeners have provided us with atmospheric processors that will help filter out the harmful particles." The shuttle touched down on a vast plain that the gardeners had designated as the optimal location for the first settlement. The surface was covered in a carpet of blue-green vegetation that seemed to respond to their presence, the plants glowing brighter as they approached. "Ladies and gentlemen," Captain Reyes announced, "welcome to Haven." The airlock cycled open, and Amara stepped out onto the surface of her new world. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making each step feel like a small leap. The air was clean and sweet, with a faint metallic taste that reminded her of ozone. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Singh, the xenobiologist who had been revived for the landing. "The bioluminescence is incredible." The colonists spread out across the landing site, their scientific instruments recording every detail of their new environment. The vegetation was indeed alive, but was unlike any life they had encountered. The plants seemed to communicate with each other through pulses of light, creating complex patterns that suggested a form of intelligence. "Dr. Okafor," called out Dr. Harrison, "you need to see this." Amara followed him to a grove of taller plants that resembled trees but seemed to be made of some kind of crystalline material. As she approached, the trees began to glow more brightly, and she could hear a faint humming sound. "They're responding to our presence," Dr. Harrison said. "But it's not just a simple light response. Watch this." He placed his hand on one of the trees, and immediately the entire grove began to pulse in a complex rhythm. The pattern spread outward, transmitted to other plant communities across the landscape. "They're communicating." Amara realized the entire ecosystem is interconnected, and we're part of it now, Dr. Singh added. "Our presence is being announced to the entire biosphere." The implications were staggering. Haven wasn't just a new world. It was a living entity, a planetary organism that was welcoming humanity into its embrace. "Arya," Amara said, activating her communicator, "are you monitoring this?" "I am," the AI replied. "The gardeners have provided me with additional information about Haven's ecosystem. The bioluminescent network is how the planet regulates its climate, atmospheric composition, and resource distribution. By settling here, humanity is becoming part of that network." "Is that safe?" "The gardeners believe so. They have been integrated into Haven's ecosystem for thousands of years. They describe it as a symbiotic relationship. The planet provides for their needs, and they help maintain its stability." Over the following days, the colonists worked to establish their first settlement. The gardeners had provided them with construction materials that seemed to grow from the landscape itself, creating buildings that were both functional and beautiful. The settlement, which they named New Geneva after the location of the Prometheus complex, began to take shape. The buildings were designed to integrate with Haven's ecosystem, their walls pulsing with the same bioluminescent patterns as the native vegetation. "It's like the planet is helping us build," observed Dr. Yamamoto as she watched the construction process. "The materials seem to know what we need before we ask for it. The gardeners have been preparing this site for decades," Captain Reyes explained. "They've been cultivating the ecosystem specifically for human habitation." Amara found herself spending hours walking through the surrounding landscape, marveling at the alien beauty of their new home. The trees sang in harmonious frequencies, the ground beneath her feet pulsed with gentle light, and the air itself seemed alive with possibility. "Dr. Okafor," Arya's voice came through her communicator. "I have a message for you from the gardeners." "What do they say?" "They welcome humanity to Haven. They say that the planet has been waiting for us, that our arrival completes a pattern that began long ago." "What kind of pattern?" "They are not entirely clear, but they suggest that Haven was designed as a refuge for species fleeing dying worlds. We are not the first to arrive here, and we will not be the last." Amara looked up at the alien sky, where Alpha Centauri blazed like a benevolent sun. Somewhere out there, other species were facing their own catastrophes, their own desperate journeys to find new homes. "Are we safe here?" she asked. "As safe as any species can be in a universe full of change and uncertainty. But the gardeners have survived here for millennia, and they believe humanity can do the same." As the first week on Haven drew to a close, Amara stood on the observation deck of the settlement's main building. The colonists were adapting to their new world with remarkable speed, their faces showing the wonder and hope that came with genuine survival. "Arya," she said quietly, "do you think we made the right choice? Leaving Earth to die while we fled to the stars." "I think you made the only choice you could," the AI replied. "Earth was dying, and you gave humanity a future. That future is here, on Haven, integrated into an ecosystem that spans a galaxy. And the people we left behind? They ensured that humanity would survive. Their sacrifice was not in vain. Amara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility that came with being one of the last representatives of Earth's civilization. But she also felt hope for the future, hope for her species, and hope for the new world that was becoming home. The journey was over, but the adventure was just beginning. 5 years after arrival on Haven, Dr. Amara Okafor stood in the center of New Geneva's Memorial Garden, watching as the bioluminescent plants pulsed in synchronized patterns that seemed to tell the story of humanity's journey from the dying Earth to their new home among the stars. The garden had been her idea, a place where the colonists could remember those they had left behind and honor the sacrifice of those who had made their survival possible. The memorial was unique to Haven, incorporating the planet's living ecosystem into its design. Each plant had been cultivated to store and display memories, their bioluminescent patterns triggered by the presence of the colonists. When someone approached a memorial to their loved ones, the plants would glow with colors and patterns that somehow captured the essence of those who had been lost. Dr. Okafor called out a familiar voice. She turned to see Dr. Alex Reeves approaching, his hair now completely silver, but his eyes still bright with the enthusiasm that had driven him to maintain the ship's AI systems during their long journey. "Alex," she said, smiling, "how are the integration protocols progressing?" "Better than expected. Aria has established full communication with Haven's ecosystem. The planetary network is providing us with real-time data about weather patterns, resource availability, and potential challenges. And the gardeners? They're pleased with our progress. They say that humanity is adapting to Haven faster than any species they've encountered." Amara looked around the garden, where dozens of colonists were tending to memorial plants or simply sitting in quiet contemplation. The integration with Haven's ecosystem had been more successful than anyone had dared hope. The planet seemed to understand human needs and respond accordingly, providing materials for construction, nutrients for food production, and even emotional support through the bioluminescent network. "Sometimes I wonder what Commander would think of all this," Amara said quietly. "She stayed behind to ensure we made it here, and now we're part of something she could never have imagined." "I think she would be proud," Alex replied. "We've not only survived, we've found a place where humanity can thrive." "Have you heard from the other colonies?" Alex nodded. "The Resolute's colonists have established New Beijing on the northern continent. They're having similar success with integration. The gardeners have also provided us with information about other refugee species that have settled on Haven's sister moons." "How many species?" 17, spanning the last 10,000 years. Each one fled a dying world and found refuge here. The gardeners call Haven a nursery world, a place where species can recover and grow strong again. Amara felt a sense of awe at the scale of what they had become part of. Humanity was not just surviving on an alien world. They were joining a galactic community of refugees and survivors, all united by their shared experience of loss and renewal. Dr. Okafor, Aria's voice came through the garden's communication system. "I have a message for you from the gardeners." "What is it?" "They have detected signals from Earth. The automated systems are still functioning, and they're transmitting a message." Amara's heart raced. "What kind of message?" "It appears to be a historical record, a compilation of humanity's achievements, culture, and knowledge. Commander Chun and the others who remain behind have been working to preserve Earth's legacy for future generations." "Can we respond?" "The gardeners say it's possible. They have relay stations throughout the galaxy that could carry a message back to Earth. It would take years to arrive, but it could be done." Amara looked at Alex, seeing the same mixture of hope and sadness in his eyes. They had the chance to send word back to Earth, to let those who had stayed behind know that humanity had found a new home among the stars. "What will we tell them?" "That we survived," Alex said quietly. "That their sacrifice was not in vain. That humanity has found not just a new world, but a new purpose." Over the following weeks, the colonists worked together to compose a message to Earth. It contained their story, the long journey, the discovery of the gardeners, the integration with Haven's ecosystem, and the promise of a future among the stars. The message also included something more personal, individual recordings from each colonist, sharing their memories of Earth and their gratitude to those who had made their survival possible. It was a love letter to a dying world, a promise that humanity would never forget where it came from. Message prepared for transmission. Arya announced as the colonists gathered in the memorial garden. The Gardener's Relay Network is ready to carry our words back to Earth. Send it, Amara said, her voice carrying the weight of an entire species' gratitude. As the message was transmitted, the garden's bioluminescent plants began to glow more brightly, their patterns becoming more complex and beautiful. The entire ecosystem seemed to be celebrating, acknowledging connection between the old world and the new. Dr. Okafor, said a young voice behind her. She turned to find Sarah Chun, not the commander, but her daughter, born during the journey and now 5 years old. She was one of the first generation of humans to call Haven home. Her eyes adapted to the planet's unique light patterns, her instincts attuned to the ecosystem's rhythms. Yes, Sarah. The plants are singing, the child said, her voice filled with wonder. They're singing about Earth. Amara knelt down beside the girl, listening to the subtle harmonics that emanated from the garden. The child was right. The bioluminescent network was creating a symphony of light and sound that somehow captured the essence of humanity's lost world. They're remembering, Amara said softly. They're helping us remember. As the transmission continued, more colonists gathered in the garden. They stood in silence, watching the light patterns dance across the plants, feeling the connection between their new home and the world they had left behind. Arya, Amara said, how long before the message reaches Earth? For years and 7 months, the AI replied. By then, the automated systems may be the only ones left to receive it. But they'll know, Alex said. Somehow, they'll know that we made it. The garden's light show continued for hours, as if Haven itself was paying tribute to the lost world of Earth. The colonists remained long into the night, sharing stories and memories, honoring the past while embracing the future. As the alien stars wheeled overhead, Amara felt a sense of completion. They had not just survived the death of their world. They had found a new purpose, a new home, and a new hope for the future of humanity. The journey from Earth to Haven had been a story of loss and desperate survival, but it had also been a story of discovery, adaptation, and renewal. Humanity had found its place in the greater community of the galaxy, and the future stretched out before them like an infinite garden of possibilities. The exodus was over. The real adventure was just beginning.